Quality, which is the last section of Unit 1 that we're going to have a look at. So you need to understand how customer expectations of quality have an impact on the business. So within that, we need to know what quality actually means. So quality product doesn't have to be expensive, it just meets the customer's expectations. And by meeting the expectations, it's got to be fit for its purpose. So customer expectations is the minimum that a customer expects from the product. Now it's very individual to each product. It could be quite individual to each person as well, which doesn't make it easy for a business to be able to fulfill that. But it might relate to how long the product will last, how it will perform in terms of how effective the product is. You might think of a lawnmower, how easy it is to use, how well it cuts the grass, those types of things. The aesthetics, how it looks as well, could be quite important, and how long you'll have to wait. And this mainly to do with services, but it could be in terms of how long you'll have to wait till the product's delivered to you. Maybe if you're in a restaurant, how long you're going to have to wait till you can order food, till once you've ordered it, till it comes to your table, those types of things. So when we think about customer expectations, it can be really, really diverse, but a quality product is just one that fulfills those expectations that customers have. So what determines customers' expectations? I think price can determine customers' expectations. Generally speaking, the higher the price, the larger the expectations of the product. The longer it's going to last, the better it's going to perform, the more beautiful it's going to look, or aesthetically pleasing. And I think most people, when they're complaining about a product, they're usually quite shocked because it's been a product that they thought was quite expensive and should have a certain type of service, and it's actually been not very good. So I remember staying in a hotel on my last holiday, and we'd stayed in we were traveling around, and we'd stayed in multiple hotels, and some of them had been quite cheap and you kind of weren't really expecting very much. But I remember one of them, it was actually the most expensive hotel that we stayed in, and it's something like £150, and it was terrible. It was a really bad experience, and I wouldn't have minded had it been £60, but because it was £150, you just thought, gosh, is this a joke? This is really awful. So I think price can determine a lot of the expectations. A brand name as well, hotels as well. If you're staying in Hilton, you kind of have expectations that it's going to be a certain way. Maybe you have lower expectations from a simple B&B, but it depends about the brand name. Prior experience as well. If you had a good experience with a product, you've purchased it before, you expect your experience again. If you repeat purchase, you expect it to be the same. And if it's not, then you could be quite shocked. And personal recommendations, these count for a lot as well, because if it's coming from a friend or someone a family member, it's not an advert. They don't work for the business, they're not biased in their opinion. So we often trust personal recommendations. So if someone says, oh, that restaurant's brilliant, and then you go and you don't think it's quite good, usually again you're very shocked about the type of quality that you're getting. Packaging as well, the image of the product, again this goes with branding, but packaging can determine what you kind of think of the product. I think a lot of the time I've heard people say things like, I wasn't expecting much from this product, from the packaging, it looked a bit cheap, it looked a bit shoddy, and then it was really good. So that can be a positive experience. But if you get a packaging that looks very exclusive, looks high quality, and then you don't have that quality experience, then you could be very shocked. So why even bother though about quality? Why do businesses worry about it? Well, you want to have satisfied customers. Satisfied customers come back to the business, they make repeat purchases, and it's much cheaper in terms of getting the quality right and the service right than it is to go out with lots of adverts that can be quite expensive. So it's better to have returning customers than trying to attract new customers all the time, although you will want new customers. It's just expensive to keep on attracting them. You get good word of mouth advertising, which again is a free method of advertising. People trust recommendations as well, a lot more than they trust, say, TV adverts. People are sometimes as well, when it's high quality, they're willing to pay more. So I recently had my tyres done, and it was more expensive to get better tyres on. And I'm not really a kind of car kind of person, but you know, I said, what's the difference between the two prices? And the person in the garage said, well, one of them's just better quality, really. They'll last longer. And I said, oh, yes, okay, we'll get the better quality ones. And people, you know, are willing to spend more money for better quality. They think it's, you know, better economy to get something that lasts a little bit longer. So they always use that in the fairy washing up liquid adverts, where they say, you know, it's a false economy to go for the cheaper washing up liquids because they don't last as long. Better quality can also mean lower costs as well. This is the other part of profit. Don't just think about revenue, but think about costs as well. So you've got less wastage. If a product breaks and the customer brings it back, remember that Sales of Good Act for consumer protection, they have every right to get their money back. And if it breaks and it hurts them, you have to pay them compensation as well. So you can, it's an additional cost to have to refund or compensate people. So a few methods for improving quality. This one's not actually mentioned in the book, but it's the old method for improving quality, and it's expecting a product at the end of the production process, and anything that's not up to standard is rejected. So you have a kind of quality control team at the end that looks at the process. But we've moved slightly away from quality control to more a quality assurance usually, and this is about making everyone responsible for quality. So at every stage of the production process, checks the work against agreed quality standards. So these agreed quality standards might be things like how long it should take to make the product or be served if it's a service, the measurements, the appearance as well. So continually checking quality throughout the production process rather than just at the end, where if you've got a problem that's occurred very early on, you're not going to be able to kind of sort it out when it's at the end of the production process. So finding those quality products at the beginning may actually save money, and it makes everyone responsible for quality. Okay, that's the end of Unit 1.